Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bakhair agale, ni hao, chune shumme, washmale, ohio gonzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabiyam, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning, alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb Shehzad Khan and Shiza Hashmi. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely fine, just feel a little dodged early in the morning, but what about you?
Well, I think I feel great today as well, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I think it's going to be not that we do not do promising shows, but today I hope that we are actually going to bring you something which is very unique, something which you might not know about, something which you are not aware about as well, and then there are places which you might not know about, and we have people over here who I think have dedicated their life towards traveling rather than staying back home with their wives and kids. They prefer staying outside.
With their wives and kids, of course. I mean, there's always traveling with families too. But okay, I want to remind you of one of your trips, and I want you to tell us the
Sure,
story.
go ahead.
So this was probably a few months back. You went trout fishing,
Yes.
and I saw the pictures, and they were amazing for a person like me who's never been to those areas, or just above Aptabad as well. I think they were pretty amazing to look at. So how was the trip, first of all? How did you conceive the idea of going and doing something fun rather than just taking pictures and doing nothing?
Okay.
And also, what are some of the places that you aspire to go to in Pakistan, of course?
All right, so I think that, I've always been very weak in geography, ladies and gentlemen, and for that matter, I do not remember names. But then I can do a fair comparison because there was one time when we went fishing and we had to camp, and then there was one time when we went fishing and we had the DC's rest house to ourselves as well where we could live. So I think, the comparison is fair enough because when we went for camping, I just couldn't stay there. Even at night, I was like, okay, I need to go back home. I cannot sleep in these camps or probably.
But that's what adventure is, right?
No, but I don't want that kind of adventure in my life.
Okay.
Probably different insects crawling all over you, and you waking up next morning and you do not have a place to shower. That's not me.
Okay.
So I think that the other place
Fair
where we
enough.
went was Naran, and we had the DC's house to stay as well. Thanks to him as well for providing us with the entire space, and then for all of those people we had. I think that was one of the most wonderful trips. A few of my friends, they had the opportunity, and then they were like, do you want to jump in?
Yeah.
I was like, why not? Since I haven't been to Naran and Kagan, why not? Let's go over there.
Right.
But that's not the point today.
Okay.
That majority of the people, even in these days, we have seen that they have been going towards the north as well.
Yeah.
They've been going to Naran and Kagan, they've been going to Hunza, they've been going to different other valleys as well, where people go usually. But today we actually want to pick up on places where, ladies and gentlemen, when we speak about, for example, the highest polo ground for that matter, the highest cold desert,
ATM.
not just that, being housed to so many peaks as well. Then at the same time, moving on and skiing resorts and so many different places in Pakistan that we have seen an influx of majority of the people or tourists as well coming down to Pakistan as well. In between, there was a dry patch when, God forbid, we were actually tackling with the terrorism part of it as well. But now, finally, when we see that, things are opening up, our Premier, Mr. Imran Khan, has actually been advocating about tourism and how, tourism and COVID can coexist. I think that's something which we really need to talk about as well. So very
Absolutely.
quickly, I think what we really need to do is that we need to introduce these gentlemen.
All right.
On a personal level, we have been friends for long. I'm not going to say that we've been friends, but yes, we have been very respectable friends. Not that we have been taking pictures of each other while one of us was not wearing a shirt or a trouser, God forbid. But then at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, they have their professional duties as well to fulfill, and they're good family members. And the one most common thing which we share amongst us is that all of us are in love with our motherland, Pakistan.
Of course.
And today, the motive is to actually let you know how beautiful is our motherland and what to do, what not to do, and what are those traveling hacks which they have actually adopted by traveling by themselves as well.
Right, and the fact that, Shahzad, we air in more than 46 countries in the
Yes.
world, I think it's very important for us to mention over here that, we're not just saying it when we say that Pakistan has a lot of untapped tourism potential. We literally mean it, and this is why we have some amazing young gentlemen over here to let you know of the places that are not sort of conventional. You will not find them if you Google them or just be like, top tourist places in Pakistan. You won't find them. So this is why it's really important for you to watch this show, along with me, myself as well, because of course, I have to figure out where I need to go for my vacation too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason, because just yesterday when we had people over here who were actually conferred upon with Sitara Imtiaz.
Oh, yeah.
So the motive is that, even when 14th August is gone, and we have celebrated and whatnot, I think that every day gives you an opportunity to enjoy that independence. And I think that that's why
Absolutely.
we are moving into this direction as well. First up, what we are going to do is that we're actually going to play a very small clip of these gentlemen going to different places.
Okay, let's
But
do that.
remember that for all of those places that they have been to, ladies and gentlemen, a few of them, you really need to be very fit physically to actually go and do all of those things. If you're not, God forbid, I think that you would actually ask your doctor in the first place whether you can take that or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's a small video clip which is very exquisite for eyes as well. Please go ahead, take a look, and then we will be in conversation with these amazing gentlemen over here in the studios early in the morning.
Let's do this.
All right,
Wow.
ladies and gentlemen, so very
Stunning.
quickly, without any further ado, moving on to all of these faces which we have just witnessed, ladies and gentlemen, in these on these amazing places. First up, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a film producer. He happens to be a great gentleman, always good to be in conversation with him. He's the one and only Mr. Ayad Ibrahim. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Wa Islam. Good morning, Shahzad. Good morning, Shahzad.
How are you?
Thank you.
I'm very well.
All
thank
of a
you.
sudden, he's so corporate, ladies and gentlemen. You know, just a while ago, we were all fine, and I said it to them that since you guys happen to be our friends as well, so we do not want to do it with a very corporate feel. So once
Sure.
again, I'm going to try once again. Hello, Ayad. Kya haal hai
Hi,
aapka?
Shahzi. Bilkul theek thaak. Aap sunaye.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you.
course.
Alongside Mr. Ayad Ibrahim, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by somebody who's a professional race driver, but not just that. I think he cooks the best or probably makes the best steaks as well.
Wow.
Because well done is not a thing for people who actually love steaks as well. This is something which I learned from him. He's none other Mr. Umar Salim. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank
Our
you very
pleasure.
much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you, and it's our pleasure. Last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, I happen to have actually gone to university with this amazing gentleman. Even though that there's always been a rift in between the business school and the engineering school, but one way or the other, we've actually found a way to be together. And ever since then, the very positive vibe which I used to get from him was that he will always talk about Pakistan in a very positive way. And
That's
not just that,
nice.
he will make sure that that other people talk the same as well and then do the same. So ladies and gentlemen, he happens to be one of the finest drummers over here in Pakistan. Not just that, he's a telecom engineer. That's how he finances his trips as well. He's none other than Mr. Tabish Mahmood. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning, Tabish bhai.
Walaikum
Good to be here. Always good to be talking to you.
Thank you very much, and it's wonderful to have you all as well. So, who do I start my conversation with? Okay, anyone.
Anyone.
So, first of all, I think I'm going to jump onto it right away, and that is that for all of these locations you guys go to, and
Right.
and I've seen that you've been to places where there are waterfalls, khubsurat waterfalls over here in Pakistan as well, and then you guys go and dive and do whatever you want to do. But how do you get to know about all of these places? Do you just go around places and then figure out, oh yaar, yahan par ye bhi hai, oh look at that? Is it like a surprise element, or do you guys plan, or there are people who actually tell you that okay, this is the place where you need to go?
Okay, I think there's a certain amount of homework that has to be done before any extensive trip as such. So there's definitely that point in which we do some research. We know what type of location are we heading to, what is the altitude, what is the temperatures over there, etc., so as to be prepared as such to go over there. There's not much available online in terms of, or even in terms of the tourist companies or the travel agencies that we have over here.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of information out there upon the non-conventional areas as such.
Yes.
So I think how we plan for these trips is a combination of word of mouth, getting in touch with the locals over there, finding some geographical maps online, and yeah, we just take it out from there. You can't exactly plan the whole thing to the dot, but you can to a certain extent know what you're heading into, and that's what we try to do. But there's always, exactly as you said, there's that element of
surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, so the plan is always flexible, of course.
Absolutely.
So
it's
now I'm
always
going to take you guys back to the first tip that you had together, which was adventurous. At what point, you thought, okay, we have to take this further. Where was it? Who planned it? And of course, okay, so what was one of the most fun or embarrassing memories from that trip?
I think trips, we've had a lot of trips. So this...
The first one.
The first one,
Dudipad.
so we have to talk about, because we're talking about tourism and travel, we have to
Yes.
talk about adventure tourism, we have to talk about leisure trips and all of that. But I think adventure mein the first time, me and Umar, we planned Chittakatha Lake,
Okay.
which is from here you have to go to Kale in Azad Kashmir.
Okay.
From there you go to Dumail.
Okay.
Dumail se upar you have to walk about 2 days, 3 days, depends on your pace. You can do it in 1 day also.
Oh, wow.
It's the highest lake in Azad Kashmir.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So before I go into that, I think what you asked, Shahzad, is how do we find these places? I think the energy takes us there. Friends like these, having a father who loves tourism, आप लोगों से बात करते हो वहाँ पर, the people who live there, you get out of your comfort zone, you find these places automatically. कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, you don't have to do much research, the energy will take you there.
Yeah.
Umar came into Islamabad, इसने energy level ही बदल दिया हमारा. We did so much adventure together. We've had life-threatening situations जहाँ पर I've seen him almost fall from maybe 5,000-6,000 feet, and we've had those moments also.
Yeah.
Same with Ayad. Ayad and me have crossed 16,000, 17,000 feet high passes. So once you get out of the comfort zone, you'll find these places. One way or the other, you'll get them. But you have to get out of the comfort zone.
Of course.
So why is it that you say that me and Ayad and leave out Mr. Umar that 16,000 and 17,000 high passes as well? Why is that so?
Okay, we're starting already.
Shots fired.
No, as I said, when we started, it was Umar the first trip, and then slowly and gradually people have their own engagements. कोई कहीं busy होता है, some people are working, some don't get leaves and all of that. So it's been different trips, not just these guys. There is so many friends that we could name, but there is a cult group of 7-8 people. We always plan. So the 1st of January is when we start planning, and we execute by the end of August mostly.
Oh wow,
That is
that's
wonderful.
interesting. So now I have a basic question, but I do want answers to that since you guys are sort of religiously hooked to your tourism as well. Since you have other professions, of course, all three of you, how do you strike the right balance? And again, like Shahzad mentioned, you have families as well. So to take the time out.
I don't know about Ayad, but yeah. The rest
Of
is
course, you must have
do
Post
have a
family.
He's an adopted
Right.
child, nobody cares. Definitely.
Aw. So to
I don't
strike.
have kids, yeah, but I have a family.
But of course, you do have a family. So to get
Bobby's
that
watching.
right balance over there, and then to sort of, make everyone happy. Well, how
So-
do you guys do that?
I think, okay, now this question, you'd have, like, if you have 3 people here right now,
Yeah.
you'd have 3 different answers. And if
Okay.
you had 50 people, you'd have 50 different answers because everybody has to strike their own balance.
Right, of course.
In my case, my family setup is not very extensive. I don't have kids.
Okay.
So it's easy for me to bolt out. And my job, as you already said, is that of a race driver. So it's not I'm not the busiest guy on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But kudos to this guy, right, Tabish? In fact, if you don't mind, I'd also like to touch upon a question that you'd asked earlier, how we find these places. Again, you'd get 50 different answers if you had different, but I got very lucky. I'm originally from Karachi. I moved here about 10, 11 years ago. He was amongst the, Tabish was amongst the first friends I made. This is my core group of friends, like what he's calling that cult. We actually have a name for the cult, but I don't want to do that. So Tabish was lucky enough to have a completely crazy old man for a dad who's been all over the country. He's had 2 funerals. He's not dead yet. True stories.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay, I need to hear those stories.
So he knows of all these places which you won't find on a brochure, right?
Okay.
So my advice to anybody who's actually watching this early in the morning, I have my doubts, is that if you are getting into the tourism game, adventure travel game, start with the destinations that Shahzad likes, where you do have a guest house or a room with a warm shower and everything.
Okay.
And then slowly work your way up the ladder or down the civilization level. All right. And if you're through with all of that, if you're through with the human luxuries, then what you want to do is the trick to finding a good place is a name which you've never heard of before.
Right.
Oh,
You should automatically know that if I've never heard of this, nobody's heard of this, this is as yet untouched, unexplored, and beautiful.
But should you trust that?
Huh?
Yeah.
But should you trust
It's
that?
worked in my case because I was lucky enough to have this guy for a friend. I've never had to plan the itinerary, right? He would tell me this place. I would just instantly know that I've never heard this name before. Let's go. In my case, so far, 100% results.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
Oh, wonderful. And ladies and gentlemen, since Umar over here very rightly mentioned that, because I've been following probably all of these people on social media platforms as well, but I do remember a picture where Tabish's father was actually standing, and then probably 2 decades later, Tabish was there as well.
Oh.
And, it was a picture dedication or something as well. But obviously, there are funny things which happened, just like Umar said that, he has had 2 funerals, but Alhamdulillah, he's alive. Uncle Allah aapko hamesha aur lambi zindagi de, hum sabke walidain ko. But then funny incidents can take place. But before we talk about that, I think we really need to share this video with you guys. And once you guys will be back, we'll ask them whether something like this happened to them or not. Let's do this.
Push that over. What are you doing?
Nothing?
Say, I want to try it on.
No!
Say!
Hey, Al! You're just jealous because I'm pretty! Don't move. A mosquito has chosen me as her perch. She's so beautiful. Look, another one. And another one. Why, it's a whole flock. They like me. They're nuzzling my flesh with their noses.
So isn't this something like you already mentioned when you were so bugged by the insects over there, no?
Yeah, obviously it's something like that, but in this scenario, this particular cartoon actually has never experienced a mosquito before.
Oh, yeah, they were
so this is one
aliens.
thing. But there's one thing which I'm going to relate to it, and that is that I've seen these pictures, and ladies and gentlemen, shortly we will be playing all of those pictures. So you guys were camping somewhere, and then next morning, Mr. Tabish wakes up and finds that okay, there was a polar bear or probably whatever bear there was, and they paid you a visit.
Oh,
How was
wow.
it, when it comes to your knowledge that, okay, this is something we lived through, how do you feel about it and where was it?
Oh, this is crazy.
It's an amazing experience. So when I was about 6, 7 years old, my father went to the Osai on a Yamaha 80cc. This is 80s maybe. And he told me he seen a bear sitting on the bank of the river and having fresh trout. He was pulling out trout from the water. And quite honestly, I thought that's not true actually. But then Umar and me, we did a 3,000 kilometer long bike trip. We made it to the Nanga Parbat base camp on our bikes. So the 4th day of the trip, we went to the Osai, and it's the land of bears. If you go there, there's a bear sanctuary there. Amazing brown bears. A lot of TV channels have done huge documentaries on them.
Yes.
So there was this guy, he was from Punjab. He was thinking that this is a joke. So he was making a lot of noise. He was mimicking the bear and all of that. And takriban after about 1.5 hours, we were sitting in the kitchen. It was very cold.
Yeah.
And he told me to grab a chair and come inside the kitchen. We would eat there. And Umar said, okay, go out and grab a chair. Once I was heading out, I saw everyone running around. And the cars' lights getting on and people running around. So I stepped out, and on the right side, I see this huge brown bear.
Wow.
About 200 feet from us.
Okay.
And he was eating out of a garbage bin.
All right.
And the guys were saying, ye chota hai, bacha hai, bahut chota hai. And I was looking at it, I was like, man, this is big. But that was the day I realized these guys can run, man. That guy ran about 400 meters in some seconds. It was unreal.
He was
It
like the
discipline.
Usain Bolt of bears.
Wow. But that's scary. I mean, not funny, but it's actually scary.
Yeah, very
So those guys told us, ke raat ko, don't get out of the camps if you have to get out. And I did. I woke this bear up who was lying next to me.
Yeah, this
And
is buddy system. Like if you need to go out for a call of
Come on,
nature.
yeah.
Right.
So no, you don't go alone. You have to take your buddy with you, right?
So the buddy was sleeping, and buddy said, "No, you go and do whatever you want to do."
Right.
And I stepped out, and I actually saw 3, very close to our camp.
Right around the tent.
So I had to do what I did very close to the camp, and then I got in. Next morning, we woke up. We saw the bears visited every camp.
Pud marks.
Pun marks, and
Right.
all the garbage bins, about 15 of them, were flipped. So they had
They
eaten
were
out of all
hungry.
of
I
them.
mean, I sort of feel poor for them.
Yeah, yeah. So what happens with bears is they hibernate all winter, right?
Right, right.
And the best time, guys, to go to Deosai is autumn, just before winter.
Okay.
So that's the time, that's crunch time for bears. Literally, they're crunching, right? That's crunch time because in order to hibernate, they need to put up as much fat on their bodies as possible so they can sleep through. The fat keeps them, gives them nutrition through the
6
winter
inches
sleep,
of
right?
fat,
And also
yes.
it keeps them warm through the winters. So that's when they're at their hungriest in the autumn season, which is why they come so close to the human camps like they did to us. But he missed out 2 very important details, which I'm going to fill in for
Okay.
all your viewers.
Please do that.
Who've made the effort of waking up early to watch us. So the guy from Punjab who'd been earlier calling out the bears, like because he thought it's a myth, right?
Right.
So he's like, oh. And there's a wildlife attendant. He came to him and he said, "Listen, don't do this. The bears will respond. They'll come."
Yeah.
You know?
course.
And he kept on joking around. He thought these guys just making it up, right?
Yeah.
When the bear actually did show up, this guy's like, "ऐथे कोई security नहीं है." So this happened, right? And then at night when he had to do the call of nature,
Yeah.
the international symbol, and I didn't wake up. So this dude, you know, the
Yeah,
Punjabi
yeah,
guy,
the Punjabi
his
guy.
tent was right next to our tent.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So he relieved himself on his tent. The next morning, the guy wakes up and he's talking to his friends and he's saying, "Oh look." Like everybody's looking at the pud marks, right? They're like, "Oh look, the bear was so close to our tent." He said, "Oh, the bear even peed on our tent."
Saved by the bear.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That was
do
quite
you
a
have
lot of
memory?
detail, though. Yeah.
You know, wakey, wakey.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. But now let's get down to what Pakistanis really need to do and how they need to behave while they're traveling places. And what places would you recommend yourself for families to visit, for individuals to visit, for adventure tourism? Let's talk about that. But before we do that, what we're going to do is, ladies and gentlemen, that we are actually going to share majority of their pictures with you. They are going to let us know which places these are.
Yeah.
And then once we will be done watching the pictures, we'll actually talk about how to plan a trip as well. So let's get started with the pictures now.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
So this is.
So anyone can tell what place this is?
Yeah, we need commentary.
So this is my Jeep. It was called the
Big Bird.
Big Bird. Umar named it. This is us doing some off-roading near the Maglas.
In the Maglas, okay.
So this is Saral Lake, right next to Nuri Top. There is this beautiful lake. यहाँ से Saral Gari leads you to Dudi Patsar Lake. We climbed from Nuri Top all the way to this and went towards Dudi Patsar.
Okay.
This is us going to the highest lake in Pakistan, Rush Lake, about 16,000 feet. Amazing place. You have to go to Nagar, Hopper. From there, you have to walk 4 days.
Just a
Okay.
footnote: Hopper Glacier is the fastest moving glacier in the world.
Yeah, faster.
This is Kagan. And you can
Yeah,
see
He was like
We're
really
both
Where do we
pointing
go?
north.
this is part of Satsar Mala, 7 lakes connected in a mala formation, in a chain formation. Babusar Top.
Yeah, everybody.
This is Sajikot, Aptabad, if you want to go to places nearby, beautiful place.
So this is a waterfall that kind of we discovered, put on the internet, and now we're not very happy
This
about
is
it.
us crossing from Naran side into Dwariya, Kashmir, 4 days. This is the Mir Glacier, Mir Peak. We're
Oh,
going
this
to
is
Rush Lake.
beautiful.
This place is called Chidin Harai.
Okay.
Rush Lake, Pakistan's highest lake, frozen on the 15th of June 2013.
I wish I could ice skate there.
This is Adankel, the place which is in Azad Kashmir, Neelam Valley. This is me crossing a wooden bridge coming back from Chittakatha, Shuntar. Me, Ayad, and a couple of other friends coming from Saral Gali towards Dudi Patsar. This is Hansraj Lake, again going towards Rati Gali Lake from Naran side.
Okay, nice.
This is
Oh,
this
so
is
pretty.
This is
Chittakatha.
Chittakatha, yeah.
So this is an amazing place in Azad Kashmir.
So pretty.
This is where Umar decided to jump from.
Yeah, I was actually hanging from the ledge. I almost died here.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So he was almost slipping from here.
So
Wow.
what are you thinking at that moment? I mean, of course,
I was thinking,
this was not the first time it happened, right?
okay, so it was actually a very pretty sight, to be
He wasn't
perfectly
listening
honest.
to me.
There were eagles flying beneath me.
Oh,
My feet were
wow.
dangling in the air.
Yeah.
Not joking, my hands were on black ice. So two things happened at that time. One, he was watching me from right on top. I was like, Tavish, you have to save me. He said, listen, you're my best friend. I will never be able to live with myself if I see you splattered on a rock. So I'm not going to be watching you.
Okay.
There's nothing I can do to help you. But I'm right here till you keep talking to me.
I don't know how to feel about that.
So I'm still thinking, if he's like a good best friend to have.
Yeah, and I think that that's what I'm going to build up on as well. That for all of these pictures, we've really seen, you far away from civilization. Absolutely. Probably because there's nothing more. There's nature, and then there's you as well. So a lot of preparation is definitely needs to be undertaken, under consideration. But then at the same time, what we're going to do is that let's talk about whether all of these trips are feasible for families to make, individuals to make, or individuals as fit as you to make. So let's talk about that.
Also,
where do
yeah.
you think people really need to go? Because we have seen that just after the 10th of August, we've seen people rushing towards the north. Roads being blocked, litter everywhere, all of these problems. So how do you think we really need to manage all of that tourism? Because I know that there are people who actually work for tourism, but then at the same time we know that there's not much they can help us with. So let's get started.
The do's and don'ts as well.
All right, where do I start?
Okay,
Wherever
start
you
with
feel
naming
like.
few places that are family friendly.
Family friendly.
Right.
See, again, the type of tourism that we normally are used to, again, as Umar also said, Tavish also said, going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, would not recommend that to a lot of families to go to.
Yeah.
But absolutely, in terms of, see, I feel if the youth and the kids of this nation, if they are exposed to all of these things, and if they're exposed to the idea of responsible tourism at a very early age, then I guess then it would eventually lead up to us building a much more viable, thriving, adventurous tourism over here in this country.
Agreed.
I think for families, to get out of their comfort zone, to go and visit such areas. I think Kashmir, there's the Neelam Valley in Kashmir. There are, even if you go to Gilgit-Baltistan, what mostly the people over here, families do, is that they stick with the KKH. Again, they're looking for facilities, they're looking for hotels, they're looking for food that they would like, etc., etc. But just stepping off the KKH, there's so many cities and towns that come in Gilgit-Baltistan, like Chalt, like Passu, like Gulkin, like
I mean, your friends can help.
Yeah, they're literally just listening to you.
Gulmet and all of that.
Gulmet is another. I mean, everyone stops in Hunza, everyone stops in Aliabad.
Right, that's
but
what I've heard.
just across the Atabad Lake, half an hour out of Hunza, is this amazing little town called Gulmet. And again, since it's not affected that much. See, what happens is when a lot of tourists from Punjab, when they go to an area and they start staying over there, what I have seen in the past is that the local people of that area, they start adapting to that culture to cater to them. Like right now in Aliabad, it's very difficult to find any cafe or restaurant that sells authentic Hunzai food.
Okay.
And they're all catering to the biryanis and the niharis and
course.
et cetera, et cetera.
Commercialism, basically.
Commercialism.
Right.
But when you go to a town like Gulmet, that hasn't been affected as much by that influence. And hence in Gulmet, you can find 5-6 cafes
More
that
organic,
sell
yes.
fully organic, like
Wow.
goat cheese, salads, etc., etc.
Nice.
Things that you normally are not exposed to in the other cities. And hence, I must say that going out of the comfort zone, taking the path that is less taken, will eventually lead up to a much better experience. Because I feel if you go from here all the way to Hunza or to Gilgit-Baltistan, you should try their food, you should try their culture. You don't go over there asking for a biryani or a nihari that you could get over here as well. You know?
And
Yeah,
chane puri wali.
that's wonderful. Thank you very much for saying that, because I'm going to agree to this 100%. Because ladies and gentlemen, I might not be that adventurous as much as they are, but wherever I'm going, probably outside the country, I think whenever I've been to UK, I think majority of my Pakistani friends would take me for a mutton kadai. I've eaten my mutton kadai away in Pakistan. Why do I want to eat it again? Which is wonderful. Tavish bhai, moving on to you now. Now, for all of those people knowing that, and I think that, this is to be, for all of us needs to be blamed for this, because we have been saying that everybody needs to go north, everybody needs to go north for the last decade, and that's what happened. Now everybody is going to the north. How do you think that we need to maintain that right balance that, okay, motorbikes can go from this route, cars from this route, and spread massive awareness amongst people that okay, yeah, this is the same thing to do. How do we do that?
Right. First of all, ek to ye कि I'm not the best.
But
There is so many people in Pakistan who do so much good stuff that you've no idea.
But you're here, so.
There's a girl who's been across Pakistan on a bike and a lot of that.
she was here.
Just to start with, I think a lot of people coming from Karachi, from Punjab side, Islamabad is the base camp.
Okay.
Yahan se, you asked about the places. There is simple routes. You either go to Aptabad side, Mansehra side, and you get to Kagan Naran. You cross Babusar top, you get into Gilgit, and you go to Hunza and Khunjarab top.
Yeah.
Some people make it to Swat, Kalam, those sites. These are the conventional places people go to. Neelam Valley, Kiran, Kale, Taubat, all of that. Rawalakot, Banjosa Lake. You go towards Chitral, you go through Deer and all of that. Now people have started going to Kumrat, which is an amazing place again. Please always when you're traveling, please do plan, but don't over plan, because when you over plan, you talk to people, people would want to sell commercial things.
Yes.
So what happens is the demand supply gap starts increasing. Everyone concentrates in Naran or Kagan or Hunza. The demand supply gap is bigger, even though they would love it still because a lot of people come. But please, this is our social responsibility. You need to give business to a lot of people who are sitting idle. I'm sure a lot of you have not heard of Tirishing.
No.
Tirishing is a place which is next to Ruppal, which is the other side of Naga Parbat base camp. वहाँ पर रऊफ भाई होते हैं. उनका एक छोटा सा कैफे है, right in the middle of the glacier.
Okay.
He has 7 kids, 8 kids. Amazing person, but his cafe is, it's just there. No one's going there.
Yeah.
You get to Khunjarab or you get to Tirishing, it's almost the same thing in terms of the effort. So
Right.
please try and understand that, as Ayad said, once you try something new, you'll have a memory. You'll have stories to tell like we do. And that's the best thing you need to do in life. You need to have stories. So everyone has been to Khunjarab, but imagine going to Tirishing and taking a picture with Rauf Bhai and saying, I went to Tirishing, where half the people have not been, or maybe 90% of the people have not been. So demand supply ka khayal rakhein, logon ko business dein. You build these places up. This is part of our government's policy also, new places.
Exactly.
All of that. Secondly, you asked, ye jo concentration hai, this again increases because you're over planning.
Okay.
Where do I go and stay? What do I do? Plan, but don't over plan.
Alright.
You'll have a memory even if you have a rough night's sleep like you did, you remember it, right? If you had a good sleep, you wouldn't
And
remember.
I don't want to have the same night again. That's the kind of memory it
So,
is.
one of the best tools that you could use is Google Maps.
Yeah.
Once you're leaving from Punjab, Islamabad, wherever, use Google Maps.
Okay.
आपको एक simple example दे देता हूँ. Bikes can't get onto the motorway, right? So why are you as a biker taking this route from Aptabad and going to Kagan Naran? You have Burban, Upper Deval, Lower Deval, cross the Kohala Bridge, get into Muzaffarabad, cross Ghadi Habibullah, and you're in Balakot.
Yeah.
And that's a much shorter way, and me and Umar have made it to
Shorter,
Naran.
faster, more scenic.
More scenic.
Yeah, more scenic, and
Lot
it's
more
much
scenic.
colder there also.
Exactly.
4 hours and 30 minutes or 15 minutes we were in
made it
Naran.
4 hours.
In Naran, yeah. But we did it like early morning. So
Okay,
you
but
could,
you guys-
some of the hacks, Google Maps,
Yeah.
try and travel off peak hours.
Okay.
Because everyone's trying to do it in the peak hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Try and find places which are not the most conventional and known on social media
Famous on
and
social
being
media,
sold to you. Go to places that are unexplored.
Right.
Give people business because there's a lot of demand supply gap.
Yeah.
Learn to live in camps. If you have family, put some of them in a room. The rest of you can spend a night in the camp
Of
also.
course.
Yeah.
Because there will be a time, or abhi very soon, when there won't be much hotels and restaurants because the demand supply gaps increasing. Even I was being told that Hunza mein problem ho gayi thi rooms ki, kam pad gaye the.
Alright.
That's because everyone's going there.
Exactly.
You can turn from Jaglor towards a store and you can go to Gorikot and Minimug and Tirishing and Ratu, and you can turn towards Swat Kalam, all of that. So please distribute the load. Pakistan can't take the one place
Yeah.
can't take the load of all of Pakistan.
Exactly. So plan, but don't plan too much.
Yeah,
ladies and
don't
gentlemen.
overplan. But
Yeah.
all right, I have sort of an innocent question I'm going to say. So we're talking about all these tourist places and they're all up north. Pakistan, again, has an amazing tourism potential. Have you guys ever been to the south, or would you suggest someone to go there as well? There's a lot of cultural tourism, there's religious tourism, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the reason the northern Pakistan takes the lion's share of the tourist market local and international, is because tourists typically go for the most important three letters in a tourist dictionary is EST,
Okay.
biggest, largest, the EST, you know,
Yeah.
not large, the largest. So,
Got
for
it.
instance, when people go to Dubai, they go for the Burj Khalifa because it's the tallest building, right?
Okay.
So people go to the north of Pakistan because that's the highest mountains in the world.
Yeah.
The three highest mountain ranges in the world in one place in one country.
Yeah.
So you can never take away from that. That will always be there. Most people will always want to get that EST. Now the rest of Pakistan is super gorgeous. All right.
course.
There's the Third Desert, which is unbelievable. I'm from South, like I'm from Karachi. Baluchistan, all of it is a playground. It was designed to be a adventurous
Balli kare
playground.
aaye ho. Yeah.
Any side of Baluchistan, right? And unfortunately, Punjab has gotten very, very congested because of overpopulation and all. But still, in southern Punjab, even in upper Punjab, like right here, just outside of Islamabad, the Potawar range is unbelievable.
It is.
Color Kahar,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, absolutely,
it's beautiful. But it doesn't have the EST, you're right?
Yeah.
It's not the biggest, it's not the largest, it's not the deepest. So, what I'm saying is, after you're done with the ESTs, you know, when you're done with the mountains, do go south. We've done it. He and I, his first time driving a motorized vehicle without maybe a license
We don't say those things here.
was driving from a stretch of road where I couldn't keep
We didn't have a
myself awake
choice. It was
anymore.
life or death. So
It was
license or
I
no
was
license.
falling asleep. We had to make it in time for a rally.
Yeah.
So I gave him the controls of a race truck.
And he passed out.
And I passed out from Bahawalpur to Sakar, right? So he made the entrance, the transition from southern Punjab into upper Sindh. So, and the stories we have to tell on our tours south are unbelievable, phenomenal, right? And then we have coral reefs, we have all these amazing beaches and everything. We have Gwadar, we have so much. So after you done with the EST, the highest mountains, everybody should go there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Wonderfully said as well. But now I'm going to come down to something which I think everybody needs to speak about as well, because my family just went to Naran, Kagan and then Hunza, but once they got back, they weren't very happy about it. And reason being that obviously my brother-in-law was traveling with his daughters, and he said that there were a lot of people who actually acted very cheap. Not just that, he was like, there were people chasing us as well, and then there were people throwing litter, and you know, the places, the way they used to be back in 95, 2000, 2005, were the places where everybody would love to go. But eventually, if that's the kind of environment you're going to get while traveling with family, unfortunately, people won't be very willing to actually travel. And then at the same time, I could relate to that because I myself have my daughters as well. And you know, even in Pakistan, if other Pakistanis are actually going to do this to another Pakistani or their family for that reason, how do you think we bring this message across to people that, you know, come on, you know, this is not a vacation, this is not an adventure at all. You know, everybody needs to be within their comfort zones.
Absolutely.
Not just that, how do we tell people, majority of the people, I'm sorry that I'm going to say it, but from Punjab, ladies and gentlemen, who litter a lot. Absolutely. And they do not have that conscience within them that, okay, we really need to look after these places. So how do we bring this message across? You guys post a lot of pictures, good. But once you write a small message alongside those pictures that this is something which we need to do, everybody tends to ignore. Now, what do we do about this? That, you know, families going, but then there are people chasing them. So everybody needs to be considered that, okay, there are people, some educated, some very uneducated, but then at the same time, if somebody is going to interfere within the kind of fun or the kind of vacation you wanted to have, you know, you're going to lose the charm.
True.
Now, what do we do about this?
And this is the reason my dad actually never took us for a vacation inside Pakistan, of course. you
Even
know.
though that he
It's really
belonged to
sad.
armed forces, ladies and gentlemen, now imagine.
Really sad, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Dabish, you want to have a
Yeah,
take on
so-
this? Because
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
answer
sure,
after
sure,
him.
sure.
I'll answer
Because
after him.
I think this is, so I posted a picture about this show, and I think a lot of friends of mine said, do talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did a trip where I was Agent Green and he was Agent Clean. I was planting trees, he was doing the
Nice.
cleaning.
Interesting.
Ayad, every time we hike, he takes a bag and he collects garbage. And
Everyone's
he brings it back
garbage.
from a
Nice.
mountaintop. People have done summits to clean the
Yeah.
mountaintop. So I think जो बहुत ज़रूरी, and I'm going to speak in Urdu if is that possible?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. मेरे ख्याल से I think what आप लोग जब बाहर जाते हैं, प्लीज़ जहाँ भी जाते हैं उसको अपना घर समझें. अगर अपने घर में गंद मचाते हैं, that's a very bad thing. मेरा एक दोस्त है हुंजा में, he has a restaurant. He has put boards saying respect the locals don't litter and all of that.
Yeah.
I've been told stories where people have entered a private property and unke सेब तोड़े हैं, उनके fruits तोड़े हैं. Completely wrong. We've had these discussions. I think one of the best things that the current government could do, already doing a great job in tourism, is enforce strict laws and regulations. There should be fines, 100%. Even if I litter, they should be fine. We go to countries like Singapore, all of a sudden we are the
we're so civilized.
most civilized people in the
We
world.
even have a book in our hand.
Yeah, exactly. So because you're being fined, right? That. Plus, already mentioned, don't concentrate into one place. Once that happens, we're used to doing this. जब हम एक जगह इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं, हम थोड़ी तमाशबीनी ज़्यादा करते हैं. We shouldn't be doing that. Littering is, I think, of course, it's an ethical, moral issue.
Responsibility.
मैंने उमर से we've discussed this. Maybe possible that you actually introduce a course on that you need to pass a small certification, maybe a 20-minute, 15-minute online course. You go through it and then you enter through KPK. Otherwise, you're not allowed to go through.
As a tourist.
As a tourist, yes.
I think that would be brilliant.
So it's like a tourist passport, like how you apply for your NIC or your driver's license. You should have a tourist license in Pakistan.
Oh, yeah.
And you see, again, building on what he was saying, everybody sees, we are 220 million people, right? Everybody sees us as a problem, as somebody, as a nation that's littering a lot. I see it as an opportunity. In case anybody from the government is watching, Zulfi Bukhari Saab or the Prime Minister, I know you guys are early risers. I hope you're watching. Big money to be made. Fine them. This is not a problem.
You
This
know
is
what?
a
They
great
know
thing.
it.
Every time they spit out chewing gum, fine them. They throw some, fine them. Look for these people. They're our best friends. I love them. Fine, get the money out of them.
Exactly, and I think that this needs to be done as well. But one last thing before we actually move on towards wrapping up the show as well, that is that wherever everybody's going, you're one of those people who will cook for them. Now, to be at all of these places, I think what's more important is that since I just witnessed and I said that my family actually went to Hunza and Naran and Kaganj, a few of the members, when they came back, they weren't in a very good shape because I don't know what they have been eating. What would you recommend for people to eat while they're traveling to North?
First of all, I would recommend them. I mean, see, if you're traveling up north, it takes some time. It takes around 16-18 hours. For that ride, try not to consume anything that is cheaply, easily available on the roadside. Keep some snacks on you. Once you get to your destination, try the local food. Please try the local food. Expose yourself. Open your mind.
Can you name a few local dishes, just out of interest?
Which area?
From any northern area,
we haven't
just
been
a
up
few
there,
dishes,
so
because
whatever
we
you
might not have even heard about.
Manto,
is the best.
chapshoro. There's. I mean, we know their English sort of names because most of them have very tough local names. So we know, like,
you're an English channel,
the
you can say
goat
that.
cheese salad in Gulmet. Now I don't know what's it locally called, but I know where to go and ask. For that. But again, building on, I mean, getting away out of the what to eat and just again building on top of what they both said over here, dealing with the issues that we have currently in Pakistan with our local tourists. I think education and exposure is one of the biggest things that we need currently at this time. We already in Pakistan have such a huge divide in between the different castes and the different cultures, etc., which we have, which results in a sort of discriminatory view of different, like someone from Punjab might go up there and be like, oh, pahad mein aa gaya hu yaar, ye kis type ke log honge. Matlab, we have that thing. So what we need what we need to do, what is very essential for us, is start at the grassroots level. Obviously enforce laws and fines at the top level as well, but grassroots level pe thodi si hame, we need to expose the young kids, the upcoming generations, on how to respect local culture, on how to not. I mean, see, when these people are going to go up north and they're going to start relating with that area and start treating it as their own home, etc., they would naturally then be a bit more respectful to the people who come over there, which is again one of the biggest issues that we have over here, that families cannot go up north because of what they're mostly faced up with. Again, if those same guys who cause mischief, if they were there with their families, I can bet you 100% their demeanors are
They'd be so decent.
They'd be so decent.
Probably have this rule in place as well. And anybody who wants to travel up north, come with your family. Otherwise,
like
you cannot go.
Exactly. So,
No,
there's
you
so
can't
many
sort of
Stags
do
not
that.
allowed.
No, stags. Find them. Find them. If they whistle at a girl, find them for that.
We need different.
Make
different
money
things
out
for
of this. This
different-
is a gold mine, untapped. Pakistan needs the money. There's plenty of money. There's 14 million cars a day that are crossing Babu Sir peak season. So if we average it out to 4 people per car, and the average is much bigger because some of these cars are coasters, right?
Right, right.
You know, that's 4 into 14. Who's good in maths around
56.
here? 56 million. Now, even if you find them a rupee every time they spit out a chewing gum or they throw a wrapper down, just 1 rupee, right?
Exactly.
That's 56 million rupees an hour.
That's brilliant. And
That's wonderful, and I think that's a great message as well. But thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation.
It's amazing.
We did what we could, but then at the same time, obviously, you know, there are other people who really need to take on this responsibility as well.
Absolutely.
And make sure that they talk such good things about Pakistan, and then at the same time, how we actually morally need to school the audiences. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, if you've heard it and if you agree to it, it's your responsibility to spread the word and share it with everybody. But then at the same time, let everybody know that there's no need to actually litter around. And I think for that matter, my daughter does a great job as well. Every time she sees somebody throwing something out, she's like, "Hey, you do not need to do this." So I think that's the first step towards good education and then having good moral values as well. We do this because of the fact that our parents taught us, and we have seen our parents stopping other people from littering. So if we are going to set an example, I think our kids will grow up to actually be in the right places where we were. And please make sure that you keep on loving Pakistan the way we do, because this is the motherland we've always been in love with, and we'll always be in love with it.
Right, and Shahzad, you know what, people who come from outside Pakistan, they absolutely, I feel like they adhere to the, I want to say,
They even love Pakistani, Shiza, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what I mean to say is the locals usually, like we already mentioned, people from either Punjab or Sindh who don't belong to the north, when they go up there, they're probably too overwhelmed to, you know, to stick to the cultural values over there. I think it's really important to be culturally appropriate, first of all, to be decent then, and then to be socially responsible as well. And if you are those things, do let us know. Maybe we'll talk to you about it on our show as well. Write us on our Facebook page with the name of
World This Morning on your television screens in a minute. Yeah, it's right there.
on Twitter.
On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, you look for PTV World and then you search for the most viewed show, which is World This Morning.
And the repeat of this one you can
5
catch
past
at
midnight, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure to look after yourselves. Stay blessed, and every day is Independence Day.
Oh, of course.
Bye-bye, Pakistan.
Zindabad. Good morning.